I once heard someone say that they didn't want to heal through meditation. They didn't want to learn how to become calm and zen, and that didn't seem like the path to their healing. And I kind of balked at it. I didn't understand because, after having such a crazy past, it just seems like the opposite of that is to be calm, right? To be relaxed and be this peaceful being. And she said she wanted to be able to dance freely and sing loud. And that was the opposite for her. Um, was being able to do those things, and not be intoxicated and not be bulldozing other people. Like it's not like you want to be on tables like dancing and like pushing into other people's space, but just to be free, to trust yourself enough to let loose and to let your hair down and to, you know, run wild. Um, that makes sense also. But I will say that what I'm learning in practicing a practice, in practicing meditation, I'm learning that I'm taking time to respond to things. So my initial reaction, like I don't know what month it was, but at some point last year, I released an episode called um, "Teeth, Taxes, and Other Uncomfortable Conversations," because those are like the most terrifying topics in the world to me. And you know, taxes are coming up once again. It's tax season. I've had some jobs where I'm going to get 1099. It's not, just the norm. And instead of that normal just dread, like owing the IRS and having them like send you nonstop notices is like carrying a boulder on my back. Like that's how it feels. Like it's always there. It's always in the background. It's so, it just, and it feels like they're gonna come get you because they will garnish your paychecks. Like they will come and get you. And this time around, like with this year, I have noticed, and I feel like it's a result of a meditation practice. I know they can't eat me. For lack of like a better way to describe it, it's just knowing that I'm doing what I can. I'm doing everything but paying them. I'm doing what I can when I can. And, I'm not behind and I'm not in trouble and they're not going to garnish my wages and I don't own a house that they can take. But the topic of this conversation is not about taxes. It's about how we handle the fear or the challenges, the circumstances that inevitably are going to come into our day-to-day lives, and what small changes we make that can have the biggest impact and make the biggest change on how those things impact us and how we show up for those things. And I have found that my baseline is just a little more calm and a little more big picture thanks to my practice. So I don't have to fly off the handle. Um, and that's a leap and bound from where I was a year ago. That's growth. So I got a message from one of my friends today. She sent this excerpt out of a book and this jumped off of the pages. So the context was about grief. It was about knowing and experiencing deep grief and allowing yourself to feel that. And just kind of the untamed, like unnumb place that grief takes you. It's uncontrollable, when you're in the grips of grief, and people try to avoid that, and they try to rise above it, and or go around it. And we know that the only way out is through. But there was an excerpt from that just really, really gripped me. And it said, welcoming everything that comes to us is the challenge. This is the secret to being fully alive. That's it. That's it. Like, just everything that comes to us is the challenge. Like, that is the curriculum. Instead of avoiding, and just we in the instant that we decide we don't want to be experiencing this, the instant that we decide that this is unacceptable to our life experience in this moment, we've placed that suffering on ourselves. But the instant that we accept that challenge, we dive into that grief, or we get the flat tire, and we just, obviously it's not ideal, but it's just a part of life. You just dive into changing the tire. You dive into just, feeling the feelings. Then you're fully alive. You're not just coasting on the surface of life, but you're diving into life's depths and oceans and experiences. And, you know, it's not just the positive ones. It's not just, the highs. It's the highs and the lows. It's the ride. I mean, just like the ocean, just like the tide ebbs and flows, that it's just the cycle of our life. And yet, I mean, I'm so guilty of it. We all do it, where we only want to accept certain experiences. But everything is teaching us. Every moment is teaching us, every experience. And the more often we can remember that, I think the more we are fully alive, the more we're embracing this life. Because, I mean, it's just on my mind a lot these days. We're just on this journey. We can't do it wrong. You can't do you wrong. Because if you're not doing what your idea of perfect is, then you just have a goal that you can possibly achieve, because nowhere is it written that you aren't supposed to struggle with drugs or alcohol, or you aren't supposed to, struggle with relationships, or date a narcissist, or, I mean, have bad credit, or, eat too much junk food, or, spend too much money. And nowhere is it written that you're supposed to get it all right. But if you embrace these things and you have a desire for a different outcome, I mean, this is a beautiful ride where we get to make the changes. Once we wake up and recognize that we're driving this little ship that is our body, like, once we recognize that it's us that's doing it, we can choose again if we don't like the experience that we're having. And it seems like it's not that easy. And obviously there are consequences, but we absolutely have it in us. We know. And I was having this conversation with a girlfriend the other day where, I don't think she called me for advice. I think she called me just to unload, like, just to get it out. Um, and the best advice that I could give her in the moment was, you absolutely know how you're feeling and how you want to react. Like, you already know this, and you're just not trusting your intuition. You're not trusting your responses because, you've been conditioned by consequences. And so there's either the consequence of keeping it in and not being true to yourself, or there's the consequence of other people reacting or judging, or, not agreeing with with what you're feeling. You're not responsible for how other people receive what you put out, but you are responsible to yourself. You're responsible to be true to yourself, to speak your truth. Nobody can use your voice. Nobody can speak your truth for you. And that message just came through so clearly. And I think it was for her and for me, and possibly for you. Um, we get these, it's not just in situations like that where you need to have a conversation. It's just in our life where we're living and we're experiencing dis-ease, displeasure in the life that we've created. And we feel like we're stuck, or we feel like we're a victim, or we feel like we want it to be different. I mean, the first step in changing it is accepting not that it's okay, accepting that it's happening, that it is what you're experiencing. And then looking for your part in it. What are you choosing that's keeping this active in your life? And then zoom out of this picture. I mean, we are a tiny little speck in this great big universe. So if we decide to take control of the speck that is us and plant that elsewhere, or plant that into a different reality, plant that into a different situation in a different location, it totally changes. And yet the entire universe just keeps on going. It doesn't ask our permission. It doesn't ask if we're ready. It doesn't ask if we need anything, it just keeps on going. And we can too. I want to repeat this quote because I'm not kidding. Like, it just, welcoming everything that comes to us is the challenge. This is the secret to being fully alive. That's what I want. How about you? I want to be fully alive. And that looks different for all of us. Some of us, that's, chasing the career, and that's, having the nice things. Some of us, that's, just being honest with ourselves and being transparent. Some of us, that, I want to feel fully alive all the time. I want to be the person that I am when I'm alone with other people. I want my insides to match my outsides. And sometimes that's tough because I react to outside stimuli. Like, I react to situations when I'm working on the golf course. It's almost like I'm putting on a show, almost like I'm just in my customer service voice. And if you've worked in customer service, you know what that voice is. And you just, you do it. You do the thing. Um, I would like to not silence the parts of me that I feel are undesirable. And I don't want to push away the feelings that I have deemed undesirable or scary. I try to meet the fear in my life with love. And that has felt like my biggest challenge, my biggest obstacle, because there's just fear in everything. But I led an entire lifetime driven by fear. So it's going to take some time to cover all of that in love. And it's just one thing at a time as it comes up. But, where is fear driving your life? Where can you give some of that fear up? What, how would welcoming the fear, how would welcoming it change it? Like there's like financial security that's pretty universal. Financial insecurity. Like we don't want to be homeless or we don't want to be late on our rent. We don't want to be, like we don't want to be behind on our bills. We don't want our electric to get shut off. But if we welcomed that, not welcomed eviction, not welcomed homelessness, but welcomed the fear and then channeled the fear into driving us to strive to do more in the direction of our future self. And that's something that I've talked about. I just, I have a very vivid imagination, and I think I've had that since I was a child. And the longer I am clean and sober, the more vivid my imagination gets. And I love to sit and visualize the future me. Like, I love to picture myself like holding my future child, um, being a parent with my husband. Um, I love to picture myself with wild hair, with my feet in the sand. Um, I love to picture myself on stages, talking to women, talking to people, just pouring the good words that have graced my heart, pouring those words into other people. Um, I picture the me that I'm becoming. And then that, imagined self, that future self, then encourages the habits that I implement today. Just the little things like pulling out the yoga mat or picking up the weights or, you know, pulling out the journal, putting everything down and just sitting down to do the meditation. That's the biggest one. Going for the walk, saying yes to the adventure or picking up the extra shift because, I want future me definitely owns a home. I've got it painted clearly in my mind. The wraparound porch, there's baby goats. It's awesome. I hope you get to see it. But the secret to being fully alive. Can you be alive and not be fully alive? I think so. I think that was the case for me when I was numb for years and years. Alive, but afraid to live, afraid to feel. I think that's the thing. I mean, when you're just numb and you're afraid of your thoughts and you're afraid of your feelings and you're afraid of outcomes and unknowns. That's my big goal is to barrel at the unknown. And I'm so not there. I am so still living um in situations where I can somewhat know the outcome. But I'm dabbling in the unknown. I'm, I'm flirting with the unknown, but you know, it's a practice. It's a challenge. Welcoming everything that comes to us is the challenge. Will you meet the challenge today? Like, what does this spark in your mind? I know I went all over the place, but this quote that's out of this book, and I wish I knew what it was called. I don't, but I can figure it out. I'll text my friend and I'll put it in the show notes. But what does this spark in you? Like, maybe it's a good journaling prompt for you. Welcoming everything that comes to us is the challenge. This is the secret to being fully alive. What are you welcoming? What are you not welcoming? What are you avoiding? What are you pushing away when it naturally comes your way? What are you not willing to experience? What are you not willing to feel? What are you avoiding? Meet it with grace. Meet it with love. I'm so glad you're here. I put out new episodes every Wednesday, so please follow, like, subscribe. Then you'll get notified when a new episode comes out. And if you're enjoying Good Words with Brandi Kelly, I encourage you to go and what is it? Oh, rate and review. That's on Apple and on Spotify. And that just helps carry the message. That helps let the algorithm know that people are listening and they want to hear more of this. And if you have good words that you would like to share, please send me a message. If you would like to come on the show, please reach out. If you feel like it should be, good words with Susie Q for a day, or, I would love to hear from you. Yeah, input is welcome. Welcoming whatever it is that, that the universe has in store for us today. Thank you for being here. Today is the first day of the rest of our lives. So let's do something good. I love you guys. I will talk to you next Wednesday.